When the world falls silent, and every echo of the day fades into the folds of darkness, something ancient awakens. The night stretches like a vast ocean, endless, patient, waiting. It is in this stillness that the unseen begins to speak, softly, like a secret meant only for those who dare to listen. You can feel it, that quiet tremor beneath your ribs, that invisible current moving through your chest. It isn't fear, it's remembrance. The heart remembers what the mind has forgotten, that there is a presence watching, not from above, but from within. The air feels different tonight. The walls seem to breathe. Even the shadows hold meaning. Somewhere beyond sound, a call is rising, not a voice you can hear with ears, but one that stirs behind the silence of thought. It asks no question. It demands no proof. It only says, "Come." You pause, uncertain. Is it your own mind speaking, or something older, something eternal? The pulse of your heart seems to answer, "Yes, I hear you." The night does not rush. It waits. It knows that awakening cannot be forced. It must be received. Somewhere, between your breath and your belief, something begins to open. The unseen has turned its gaze upon you. This is how blessings begin, not with thunder or revelation, but with stillness, with the quiet knowing that someone, somewhere, has whispered your name in the language of light. Tonight, the veil thins. Tonight, you are being called. Before any blessing descends, there is a stirring that begins inside the heart, soft, unseen, like wind passing through the hollows of an ancient flute. It is the breath of intention, the moment when something invisible leans toward you, waiting for your response. Everything in creation begins this way, not with action, but with desire, not the hunger of the world, but the longing of the soul, a quiet yearning to return to its source. When the heart purrs a prayer with sincerity, the universe bends toward it, unseen threads weaving paths you cannot yet perceive. You sit in the darkness, and your thoughts are many, yet beneath them, something simpler speaks. What do you truly seek? The question floats in the air like incense. Do you seek light to escape darkness, or do you seek truth, even if it burns? The divine listens, not to your words, but to the fragrance of your intent. A whisper passes through your mind. Purify what you ask for, and what you ask for will find you. In that moment, you realize intention is not small. It is creation itself, dressed in human form. Each thought you breathe with faith becomes a star waiting to descend. Each prayer uttered with love becomes a gate waiting to open. The night deepens. You exhale slowly. For the first time, your breath feels like a bridge between heaven and earth. Somewhere beyond sight, the blessing begins its journey, drawn by the purity of your heart's quiet vow. It begins with a trembling, soft, sudden, and strange, not in the body, but somewhere deeper, where no hand can reach. The heart stirs without reason. It beats a little louder, as though answering a voice you cannot hear. This is the first sign, the awakening of what was always alive within you. You pause, sensing a shift that words cannot explain. Nothing around you has changed, yet everything feels different. The air hums with quiet urgency, as if unseen wings brush against your chest. You think it might be emotion, or fear, or longing, but it is none of these. It is recognition, the soul remembering its caller. Sometimes blessings do not arrive with light. They begin with unease, a restlessness that pulls you away from comfort. You feel it as a weight, a flutter, a stirring of something holy. You try to silence it, but it grows stronger. It wants to be known. A whisper rises from within, gentle, yet undeniable. I am the sign you prayed for. Your heart responds before your mind can reason. The pulse quickens, the breath deepens. You feel as though you are standing at the edge of something vast, the beginning of a revelation that has no words. This trembling is not weakness. It is how the unseen knocks on the door of flesh. It is the divine reminding you that you are not forgotten, that what you seek has begun to seek you. So you listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. For the heart's trembling is the language of arrival. The first miracle does not appear outside. It awakens within. It comes quietly, wrapped in the disguise of chance. The second sign. A coincidence that brushes past your day like a shadow you almost missed. A name you hear twice, a number that repeats, a stranger's words that echo the secret thoughts you whispered last night. The mind calls it accident. The awakened heart calls it guidance. There are no accidents in the language of the unseen. Every echo, every meeting, every delay carries meaning hidden beneath its veil. The divine does not shout, it arranges. The ordinary becomes the script of revelation. You begin to see patterns where others see randomness, threads connecting moments across time, weaving your life into a tapestry too precise to be coincidence. A whisper crosses your thoughts. Do you see me now? You remember the prayer you made weeks ago, the one you forgot. Yet here, tonight, it returns to you through the mouth of another, through a line in a book, through the timing of a door opening just as you arrived. It feels small, almost unreal, yet it pierces something deep. And in that moment, faith trembles awake again. You realize that the universe has been speaking all along, not in thunder or miracle, but in alignment. Every step, every delay, every detour was the compass of mercy turning you toward the destined. So the next time life whispers your name, hi, and in patterns too exact to ignore, pause. Do not say, what a coincidence. Say instead, I am being guided. For when the divine writes in your life, it never uses ink. It writes in events, in timing, in hearts, and waits for you to read. Then it comes. The storm, the third sign. The air shifts. Life turns heavy with clouds. What once felt certain begins to crumble. Doors close, plans dissolve, silence replaces answers. You look upward, asking, why now? But the sky only deepens its gray. This is how blessings often arrive, disguised as loss. The storm is not your enemy. It is the messenger that clears what no longer serves your soul. Every flash of chaos carries instruction. Break, so you may be rebuilt. What you call suffering, heaven calls preparation. The divine tears down the walls that were keeping the light from entering. Your heart rebels, as hearts do. Why must I lose to learn? Why must everything fall before something rises? The reply comes not in words, but in stillness, because only the emptied cup can be filled. You remember the saints who found peace in ruin, the lovers who saw God in heartbreak. You begin to sense that pain has its own tenderness, that beneath every wound lies a doorway. Each tear you shed becomes a small, cleansing river, washing away what the eyes could not see. And somewhere, in the middle of despair, you notice something strange. A calm, a flicker, a breath that no storm can touch. It hums within you, steady and eternal. That is the first light. It does not come after the storm. It comes through it. Because every true blessing wears the mask of difficulty first. The thunder is not punishment. It is announcement. The sky breaks only so the dawn can enter. Then, after the storm's last cry fades, there is silence. Heavy, wide, almost sacred. You look around. Nothing moves. The world seems to hold its breath. Yet within that stillness, something has changed. The fourth sign has arrived. It is not loud. It does not flash or demand to be seen. It settles like dawn mist upon the soul, the stillness that speaks. You feel peace without reason. The questions that tormented you no longer matter. The noise within softens, as though some unseen hand has turned the volume of life down to a whisper. You stand there, uncertain. Is this the end? The silence answers, no, it is the beginning. In the quiet, you sense movement. Not outside, but within. Slow, deliberate, full of grace. You realize that the divine was never absent during the storm. It was waiting for you to stop fighting, to finally listen. Stillness is not emptiness. It is revelation in disguise. The soul can only hear the truth once the thunder of fear has passed. You close your eyes and breathe. For the first time, the air tastes new. The weight you carried feels distant, unreal. You cannot explain it, but you know something unseen has shifted the path beneath your feet. The silence hums again, gentle as mercy. I have already moved in your favor. And just like that, you understand. The stillness was not absence. It was presence in its purest form. The world may appear unchanged, but your spirit knows the blessing has arrived. Sometimes the loudest miracle is peace. There are moments when you look back and realize everything was written long before you arrived. Every smile, every loss, every detour, all part of a script you did not know you were performing. This is the hidden design of destiny, the invisible ink of mercy written across your life. You were never wandering. You were being guided through the quiet corridors of divine timing. What you mistook for delay was preparation. What you thought was rejection was redirection. Each unanswered prayer was a hand turning the page towards something greater. Sometimes you ask, if it was written, then what is my choice? And the answer comes so deftly. Your choice is how deeply you trust the author. The unseen realm does not work by human clocks. It moves through patterns of wisdom too vast for the impatient heart. When something leaves, it is because its purpose has been completed. When something arrives, it is never early, never late, only perfect. You begin to see how every loss made room for something sacred to grow. The people who left, the doors that closed, the paths that broke beneath your feet, each one carved the vessel that could now hold light. And so, you stop questioning, you start observing. You understand that destiny is not a chain, it is choreography. The soul moves with the rhythm of what was decreed, and when it finally aligns, the entire universe seems to hum in tune. A whisper rises through the quiet night. Trust what was written for you. It has always been leading you home. There comes a moment when you begin to see yourself clearly, not through the eyes of fear, but through the mirror of faith. This is the 8th sign, subtle yet immense. The heart, once clouded by doubt, begins to shine again. Every reflection of you now carries a question. Do you believe you are worthy of the blessing you seek? Faith is not noise. It does not shout or argue. It is a still flame that refuses to die, even in the wind. The unseen world listens to it more than it listens to words. When your faith expands, the doors of heaven open without you knocking. You sit in the quiet, your doubts circling like restless birds. They whisper, "What if it never comes? What if I'm not enough?" But a gentler voice within you answers, "You were never meant to earn the blessing. You were meant to receive it." Belief is permission. The moment you believe, the divine begins to move on your behalf. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with what was already yours. Every prayer begins to sound different when faith carries it, lighter, freer, full of light. You lift your gaze and see how the world responds. The same sky seems closer. The same breath feels deeper. The same night glows with a softer hue. It is then you realize, faith doesn't change the stars. It changes how you walk beneath them. And when you walk in faith, even the unseen bends toward you, whispering in languages only the soul can understand. Now you are ready. There is always a door we fear to open, the one that leads inward. Behind it waits everything we've buried, the ache, the guilt, the questions we never dared to ask. Yet this too is where the blessing hides. The 9th sign does not appear in the heavens, it waits behind your own resistance. You stand before that unseen door trembling. The mind warns, don't go there, it's too dark. But the heart replies, the light you seek is hidden inside that darkness. For the divine does not dwell only in peace and beauty. It lives in the raw, unhealed corners of the soul, waiting to be recognized. You take a breath and enter. Memories rise like ghosts, faces, moments, regrets, all the fragments you thought you had buried. Yet as you face them, something miraculous happens. They lose their power. You realize they were never meant to haunt you. They were meant to teach you. The soul speaks softly. You cannot receive with closed hands. Let go. Forgive. You weep, not from sadness, but from release. The pain begins to dissolve into something holy. You feel the presence that has followed you all along, patient and kind. The door you feared most was never a doorway to suffering. It was the passage to peace. As you step back into the night, the air feels lighter. You understand now. The path to blessing was not outward, but inward all along. And the whisper returns, softer than before, yet infinite in its promise. When you face what you fear, you find me waiting there. Somewhere in the stillness after surrender, the 10th sign appears, not in thunder or miracle, but in quiet recognition. The blessing has already arrived, you just didn't notice when it did. It's in the silence between thoughts, in the warmth of your chest when gratitude fills it, in the way the world seems to breathe with you instead of against you. You realize, for the first time, that the divine was never late. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak was timing, not punishment. The universe was never withholding, it was preparing. And now, standing in the calm after the storm, you finally see what all the waiting was for. You remember the nights you prayed through tears, thinking no one heard you. But tonight, as the air hums with unseen music, you understand. Every prayer was answered in silence, waiting for your heart to grow strong enough to receive it. The world around you feels newly born. Even the stars seem to pulse with awareness. You look up, and it's as if the entire sky has opened, whispering through the dark. You have arrived, and you smile, not because everything is perfect, but because everything finally makes sense. Blessing was never something that came from outside. It was the awakening of what was always within. The 4 signs, the whisper, the light, the surrender, and the reflection have all led you here to this sacred knowing. The night deepens, but you are no longer afraid of the dark. You are part of it, and it is part of you. And in that eternal stillness, the voice returns one last time. The miracle was never coming. It was you becoming. There are nights that end, and there are nights that never do. This one feels eternal, stretched between breath and eternity, where the veil between seen and unseen grows thinner than smoke. You walk beneath a moon that feels older than time, and something within you begins to stir again. It's not restlessness, it is remembrance. Every sound, the rustle of wind, the distant call of a night bird, seems to carry an echo of something sacred. You feel it now more clearly than ever. The presence that walks beside you, patient, watchful, tender. It does not speak in words, but your heart understands. Do you see now? It asks, without voice. Do you feel what silence has been trying to tell you? And you do. You feel that life has never been a series of random events. It's a woven fabric of divine precision. Every meeting, every loss, every delay was a note in a song too vast for your mind, but perfect for your soul. You realize that your prayers were never unanswered. They were being rewritten, refined into something greater than what you thought you wanted. You were not being denied. You were being prepared. The wind moves again, slow and sacred, brushing past your face like a blessing. You close your eyes. You don't ask for anything this time. You only say softly, "Thank you." And somewhere deep within the folds of the night, you hear a response, gentle, radiant, eternal. When the heart remembers gratitude, it no longer seeks signs. It becomes one. The moon dims behind a passing cloud. The world is still, and in that stillness, you finally understand. What you were looking for was never outside you. It was the divine waiting patiently within.